A couple of hours ago, someone from Digital Extremes shared information about their plans for Warframe aside from being future updates like Angels of Zariman and possibly this year, the long-awaited Duviri Paradox update. It was via the official Warframe forums, and the data was gathered from 70k players who have undergone the most recent survey that Digital Extremes had. If you have participated in that survey, then you know what are the questions, including Digital Extremes asking about if players would want to see a werewolf Warframe in the game. While I'm very interested in the werewolf Warframe, and still hoping that the Fenrir concept will get chosen by Digital Extremes, the overall goal of the survey was more interesting since it was like the developer is asking for help on how to improve the game. This is just my opinion though, so take all I say here with a grain of salt. In the survey, there are light questions like what's your overall experience with Warframe so far, and other questions which just ask you whether you like the game or not, but the biggest chunk on it was the gameplay part, and most of it, or should I say, the most interesting part of the survey question was about modding in the game, and if players would want raid back or to be in general, would we want endgame content for Warframe? Well, who doesn't love endgame content? It's kind of funny because, in my recent Twitch stream, me and my audience were discussing the same topic. Would you want raid back in Warframe? Others say yes, while others say that the Eidolons are better right now. While opposite sides may have different opinions about this topic, but I get why they want to raid back and why some don't. You see, the raid back then was limited to only a group of individuals. It was considered the endgame of Warframe. You need to have a good setup, a team that knows the mechanic, and overall, a good clan so you can maximize the loot gain in each session during a Law of Retribution run. You could be with random members, but it's still better done with a clan that can communicate, and sometimes, the basis of hiring clan members are those who know how to raid. While I agree that we can't judge the decision of those clans who are doing this in the past, the main problem was, because it was so limited, players began to lose interest in the Law of Retribution. Arcanes were so rare during those time, as it is only acquired during the Law of Retribution, that it ended up costing about 4k platinum or more, depending on how rare, and how useful it is in the mission. I'm staring right at you Arcane Energize, but there was a point wherein players just wanted to buy Arcanes from the players, instead of going into the Law of Retribution to farm it. Why? Because you can't get in easily in a good team. Also, if you farm prime parts all week, then you can sell them to other players, and you can slowly get all the arcanes that you want, compared to just doing the Law of Retribution and praying for RNG to drop the arcane that you want. In my opinion, the loot was also a big factor, as it wasn't that interesting to keep players from playing the game mode. But with Eidolons, it has become way easier to be with a team and farm focus, and also arcanes. You can even solo Eidolons now and farm all the arcanes that you want. The only problem however is that, Digital Extremes thought that Eidolon was so good that they seem to have mimicked the same idea in their other boss fights like the Orb Mothers. Don't get me wrong, some of the ideas were there before the Eidolons, and we have since that invulnerability phase first, then break armor or shield, before you can break the boss. It's just that Digital Extremes has the knack to just mimicking their boss fights and not doing any interesting mechanics on them. I agree that Eidolon hunting is in a good spot now, but I just hope that they bring something new to the table and was hoping that if they are working on raid, then it would be something that players haven't seen yet. New ideas breed new interest in players, which makes them want to stay and play the game. And for the love of Lotus, please make the loot better. Imagine getting the endgame content that we always dreamed of, with all the boss mechanics and environmental hazards, and then we get to see prime parts, endo, and all the other things that we have seen so far. It's like, this endgame will make farming for this stuff a lot faster. No, that's a big no DE. Please think of something else. The other thing that they talked about is the modding could get some TLC treatment. What the hell is TLC treatment? Are they talking about WWE style, tables, ladders, and chairs kind of treatment? I'm just kidding. I know this and it says tender loving care. Some mods right now raise the bar for both warframes and weapons. Galvanized mods are a great addition to the weapon system of the game if it works well. It raises the power level of any guns, including those mastery rank fodder can now be turned into good weapons in steel path levels. Also, umbral mods are a thing, as it doesn't just give higher bonuses, but also the set increase is great, and it's safe to say that it can be considered as best in slot for almost all Warframe, not all by the way. The same goes with the adaptation mod, which works well in any Warframe since it works with both health and shields. There are also the old but always gold prime mods, and those corrupted mods that we have been using to almost all our Warframes back in the days up until now. So what's the problem with the modding system? The hard fact is, we have been using the same mods over and over again, and it left other mods as just something to be turned into endo. There are tons of mods in Warframe, but we can't use it all because there are these mods we call as best in the slot. Certain mods like Warm Coat, or other mods that negate elemental damage are not taken into account, since you can just go with a full adaptation build to mitigate the damage type, or you can even do a healing return setup with your melee to heal your life and beat the crap of that elemental damage you are taking. We indeed have build diversity because of the Helminth system, as we can turn our favorite Warframe into something else, but the thing is, we are still using the same mods on them, which makes the modding system in Warframe right now full of meta builds. And by the way, those meta builds have the same mods, and some are just replaced with something else, depending on the player's preference. This is the reason why other mods become useless. If I were to fix the mod system, then I would add other stats into the Warframes like elemental damage resistances, or even IPS damage resistances, and then introduce a different mod slot intended to mod our Warframes for these types of damage resistances. Also, the missions and enemies should be re-evaluated so they will pose a threat to the Warframe, forcing players to mod for damage resistances in specific missions. What else? Well, to be honest, I can't think of anything else that could be good without breaking the modding system in the game. It would take a total overhaul in my opinion just to get out from the meta sink right now, and I would like to know your opinions also. Will you be staying to play Warframe if there's endgame content? What are the things that DE should consider for the modding system to be better? Let's discuss in the comments section below, and if you have time to spare, then go check out my stream. The link is on the video description, and you can also see it plastered on your screen. Thank you so much for watching. Squad Leader signing off.